afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Lioneltavares from the Sabbath at Midnight, here to bring you these new t-shirts we just got made. They have the crucifix in the front, very obvious, so you could show off exactly who you represent. The back has the old school, old English. Okay, we're keeping it gangster, and we're keeping it truthful. So if you guys want to grab one of these shirts and you're not ashamed to represent Jesus Christ, and you want to help a Christian podcast grow and reach bigger audience, please reach out and we will sell you one of these shirts for a very reasonable price. If you are international, it will be a little extra, but work with me and I'll work with you. I hope you guys have a good day and God bless.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sabbath at Midnight. And today I'm bringing back our guest, Chris Taylor from Don't Let Them Burn. And without further ado, go ahead, Chris, introduce yourself again. Tell us where to find all your stuff.
Hey. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me again, Lionel. And it was fun last time. And if anybody wants to find me, it's don'tletthemburn.com. Don'tletthemburn.com. And we also have a YouTube channel, a Rumble channel, Odyssey, all of the major places. We just opened a Rockfin channel. And if you want to get resources, you know, some of the proof of some of the stuff I say, you can go to my Telegram channel. To access that, you can just search Don't Let Them Burn on Telegram, or on my YouTube community page, you'll find a link to the Telegram channel. Also on my Facebook community page, you can find a link to my Telegram channel, and you'll find news reports, like I said, resources. Sometimes I give away books, not my books. My book isn't ready yet, but books that aren't in print anymore, to give you some really in-depth knowledge of some of the stuff I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're on every channel pretty much, so you're not hard to find.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So today we're going to be discussing what I like. Well, for now, the title that I have is going to be the mysteries of superheroes. And you're the man, in my personal belief, that has the knowledge to talk about it. So.
Well, you know, as we started last time, a lot of this stuff I talk about, it's kind of personal in the sense that I grew up smothered in entertainment, right? And when I came from, I migrated from Jamaica in the early 70s, and I was born in 72. And, you know, we had TV down there, and we would watch, you know, stuff like Boris Karloff and, you know, stuff like that, the vampires and whatever, but it was limited television. There was a TV show called Dark Shadows. It's like a soap opera for vampires.
Oh, wow.
Like
I never heard of it.
Vampire soap opera, right? And it was more a little hokey, little, you know, whatever. So that was one of the first vampire things I ever saw, but it wasn't scary or whatnot. And for the older crowd, you remember exactly what that is. So coming from Jamaica now, I'm placed in front of a TV again. You know, that's my babysitter, and you know, I would see the Hindenburg disaster, which scared me. That was my first real view of death, you know?
Yeah.
And so outside of that, it was Star Trek, it was Doctor Who, all the stuff back then in the early 70s that were just put on TV, Sha Na Na, and all this stuff a lot of the young people don't know, right?
I don't know. I don't know some of those shows.
Right. So, but everybody knows Star Trek.
Yeah, of course.
Star Wars and, you know, those type of sci-fi adventure to Buck Rogers and the 24th century. I think it was the 24th century. Anyway, Buck Rogers and and there you had the Hawkman and all these weird sci-fi elements and whatnot. So from there, I got more interested. You know, as from the 70s to the 80s, you had the Super Friends. You know, you had Automan, artificial intelligent being created by a human, and the human wanted him to be more perfect than humanity, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So all these topics piqued my interest as I'm a little boy. And Super Friends, I used to watch that all the time. Scooby-Doo, a Spider-Man cartoon that was out at the time. I think that was early 80s or somewhere around there. And so I was always drawn to these type of adventures, fantasy, even spy stuff, you know, James Bond and all that stuff. But, you know, for a kid and his imagination, it's just entertainment. And in a way it is, but there's so much more to it. And before I even get deeper into this topic, I want the audience to understand, especially the younger ones, not here to attack what your heart loves. That's between you and God, right? I'm not telling you what to watch, what to listen to, what to read. For the most part, we are created in the image of God, and He made a system where we are to entertain ourselves through plays and dances and whatnot. But since we're in a fallen world, we have also demonic influences. Until Jesus Christ returns and reclaims this planet at the end of the 7-year tribulation, we are living in a fallen world until then. And so as we grow up, like some people grow up in the Africa or places in Asia where they know the occult is real. It's not hidden from them. It's not being turned into a fantasy. The stuff I'll reveal tonight, these cultures already know this stuff, that a lot of our heroes today are re-representation of pagan gods, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of occult elements in there, in these stories. Even in some of the spy stuff, I'm like, wow, that's in there too, you know?
Yeah.
And,
I used to watch Carmen in San Diego. They had a lot of weird stuff in it. Remember that one?
Yes. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So I just want people, I want to make that distinction that within a fallen world, a lot of us are growing up in a system that was moral, not Christian, that Christian values, but there was more moral. So a lot of the esoteric stuff, the things that we're going to talk about tonight, was hidden from a lot of the public, even though the occult have this thing called hidden in plain sight. It's right there in front of you, but because you're not learned, you won't get to define what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, yeah, I late 80s, early 90s, I started to get into a lot of comic books, X-Men, and that Avengers movie that came out, Infinity War.
Yeah.
It was called Infinity Gauntlet. That was the name of the
original.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they changed up a lot of stuff, but for the most part, it's the same storyline. So I was very into comics. I'm not going to say I'm the comic expert, right? But an expert of my relationship with the genre, right? So comic books go all the way back to the Gutenberg press, 1576. Around there was a printed comic. 17th, 18th century, around there, it started to become more popular with a guy named William Hogarth and others. So our distinctions of the history of comic is a little warped because most people think it just came around, say 1920s, 30s, whatever. It goes back before that. And it's just storytelling, as in any culture, any ancient culture, it's storytelling. And it depends on your motives for the story. Everyone has an agenda. Agenda is not necessarily a bad word, right? Everyone has an agenda, a message to put forth. And sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, these same messages come from demonic forces, because these people are into esoterical stuff, secret knowledge, Gnosticism, Kabbalah, Freemasonry, you name it. It doesn't have to be a secret society. It could just be a religion like voodoo, and voodoo, it actually mingles with Catholicism. Most people don't know that.
Wow,
so
really? Interesting.
Yeah, when you go to when Catholicism got more power over the years, they ruled the natural world for like 1,500 years, right? And so when they take territory, they assimilate the gods in those cultures or the traditions. And so if you go look in Haiti, go look in South America and other places, you will see that they mix voodoo with Catholicism, because voodoo is simply just witchcraft. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of like take these distinctions. It's witchcraft, it's voodoo, it's Santeria, they're all the same.
White magic, black magic, all the same. I agree, 100%.
And these people that are into this stuff, they don't hide it from you. They say, yeah, we mix it. And sometimes what they're trying to do, because because Catholicism is a a pseudo Christian cult, right?
Yeah.
The people, because of the Catholic system wanted Catholicism up over every other religion, right? These people that practice this stuff would hide it from the community and then blend it with it. So instead of saying we're worshiping, say Baal, it's Saint this or Saint that.
Yeah.
Switch it up, right?
I went to the Vatican, and just really quick, when I went to the Vatican as a child, that place looks nothing like it would be from Jesus. There's like these weird demonic statues everywhere, all over the pillars, and then they have the Muslim star on that obelisk. They have the moon star. I have no idea why that's even there, but it was very weird to be there. It didn't feel like it was a place of Christ.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some of that in a minute too, with the obelisk and the moon gods and all this stuff. So where was I?
Oh, sorry about that.
Catholicism. Okay, so we're not going to go heavy on Catholicism tonight. I'm just giving people an inference on how some of this stuff gets mingled into our culture, and we just don't know. And today, witchcraft is the fastest growing religion in America. They don't call it witchcraft; they call it Wicca, but it's the same thing. All right, and some people think Wicca is just the play witchcraft. There's some serious stuff in that too, but again, the stream is like a watered down version of the darker things. Okay, all right, so that's a little primer.
Yes, sir.
So where can we start here?
Wherever you want, buddy. I mean, there's so many things you can start with. We can start with. I'll tell you one of my favorite comic books growing up as a kid. I love the Reign of the Supermen. You know, when the cyborg Superman, the clone one. I think that has a lot of all that stuff in it that you're talking about.
But yeah, there's so many different themes going on in there, and we'll tackle some of these themes as we go. So Superman, in the beginning, and people, anything I say you can go look up, unless it's something that's buried in an old book somewhere where you can't just find the internet. You know, I mean, respectfully, doing research, you can't do research in just 5 minutes. That's not research.
Yeah.
You got to dig, right? And you cannot find every single thing on the internet, at least not yet, until they finish scanning all the books in the world, right?
Yeah.
And so we have themes like technocracy, we have genetics, also known as eugenics. We have the occult and other subject matter going through these things. So say, for instance, cyborg. Cyborg is a representation of technocracy. It's the representation of the perversion of the human body, as we talked about in the what we did a week ago on the porn issue. Is a perversion, right?
Yes.
So cyborg is this human that was transformed by a triune fake trinity called the mother box, right? Through his father, and he became a living robot, in the sense that he's a cyborg, right? Half human, half machine. He can travel the internet. He's more powerful than most people think he is, right?
Yes.
Because you could relate him to artificial intelligence. True artificial intelligence that's quote unquote self-aware, is possessed by an entity.
Yeah.
Right? And I have proof of that. Look up Gordy Rose.
I love how you do that, man.
There's a lot of people out there that are talking about artificial intelligence being consciousness. And I don't want to go off on that right now. I'm just giving you some bullet points here. So that's what cyborg is. And if you notice, he has a red dot in the middle of his forehead.
All-seeing eye.
That is not just the all-seeing eye, but it's also called a third eye. It's also called a pineal gland. Some people think that this is how we're able to commune or talk with God or the spirits, through that pineal gland, right? And whether that's true or not, there's a lot of occult ideas behind why cyborg and other beings have this dot in front of their forehead, right? And so back to Superman, when they originally created him, he was not a good guy, right? Then they changed him to a more moral person, and he's kind of he's an allegory for Jesus Christ, right? So that's why you see a lot of Christ symbolism. You can look this up right now. There was a comic book where he actually threw away the cross and said, we don't need that anymore.
Oh,
right?
wow. I never seen that one.
Right? Anyone can find it right now. Now, also, the S on his chest, the newer definition of it is hope, right? That's the symbol of hope on his planet. Well, there's another story to that where it's actually a dragon or a snake, right? Because he is the Antichrist.
Yes.
And now, don't get me wrong now. I love Superman movies. I like Superman comics. Stuff. But we got truth. Truth doesn't warrant your belief. Truth is just going to be truth. That's it.
Yes, sir.
So we can get emotional about it and get mad. Say, what is he talking about? Just do your own research.
Yeah.
Do your own research, and you'll find out the same truth that I did. I didn't get it from wackyconspiracyguy.org,
Yeah, that's absolutely no. You do your research. You're one of the few men that I know that actually does deep research. Like when we're talking on the phone, I ask you one thing, you always say it goes deeper than that, and then boom, you send me the information. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Because that's needed in this day of we're getting flooded by so much information and quote unquote fake news. And,
so much.
They're weaponizing the terms disinformation and misinformation on people that believe different from them, right? And so it's very important that people do their own research. The problem is 99% of people won't do it, and that's why we end up in the situation that we do. But for the people that are open to learning and are malleable in their thinking, then they can go and research this stuff and see what's what, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the themes, so Superman comes from a place called Krypton, right? And what is it? What's a crypt? What is a crypt? A crypt is something that's secret. It holds. It's cryptic. You're right? It's secret. It hides knowledge. So we have Gnosticism. We have the idea of the gnosis. You get to know more if you go to this place or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he comes from a secret place, and his father is El, right?
Elohim.
And El,
yeah.
named Elohim for God. So here is a false representation of Father God and his son, right? Which we could find in Greek mythology with Thor and his father Odin and Hercules and his father Zeus, and it's a false representation of what really is. Go ahead.
On Krypton though, aren't all the man named Al? They all have like an Al, Zod Al. They all have an Al name.
It's a title for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So and they're depending on which story you're reading, they're genetically modified people, right? Yeah. So just like we have today, people go look that up right now.
Oh wait, I didn't know that. So the people from Krypton, they're not born that way.
Well, like I said, it depends on the story that you read, right? Yeah. So let's just go to Man of Steel, the movie.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
In there, they were genetically bred to be scientists, soldiers, bureaucrats, whatever the thing is, right?
Yeah.
And so that is going on in our planet today. It's rising up, this idea, because these ideas aren't new. You can go back to Genesis 6. You can go back to the Greeks. You can go back to the Romans. You can go back to any culture that want to become God. They're going to try to genetically modify the human species in some way, right? And so right now we have things called designer babies.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Changing the eye color and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they could breed them to be athletes. They could breed them to be soldiers, super soldiers, all this stuff. So if you're skeptical about what I'm saying right now, this is not secret. This is in the open. This is coming from the World Economic Forum, and it was around before them. And a lot of people that wrote a lot of these sci-fi-ish novels and comic books, they were well read within the occult, within the stories of the mythologies of the gods and the goddesses, and not all, but a lot of them were communists as well. Okay. And so the guys that wrote Superman, they were Jewish, and a lot of the early writers were Jewish. But the point of why I'm pointing that out is some of them could have studied the Kabbalah, which is not of God, right? And even in the Kabbalah, you see the 9 realms, the same things you find in Thor, okay? And so they don't have any respect for the true man God or God man, Jesus Christ, right? And so they warp this idea. And we'll get into some more of that in a minute. So let's stick to Man of Steel for a second.
Yeah.
So you had these genetically modified people that one of their planet is about to be destroyed by their sun, and they send Kal-El to Earth. But why? And in some iterations, you're going to see, well, he's coming to be the savior of humanity, which is, a mirror of Jesus Christ and all this stuff. In Man of Steel now, he's supposed to be the figure of hope, and his father clearly says they're going to see you as a god, right?
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, he's coming with the codex, the genetic code for every single Kryptonian in his cells,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. In the movie, doesn't his dad put all the information in his body?
The cells, yeah.
Yeah.
So by the end of the movie, you find out that he was really sent to make hybrids out of humanity until the Supermen take over, and then there's either hardly any humans or no humans at all.
Yeah.
Right?
And the dream
Right?
shows it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the plots of the movie, and there's more, and there's more, and there's more. So this is the type of planet that the elites want. They want what's called transhumanism. So you're going to transcend the original design of God to be a transhuman, right?
Yeah.
And from there, they have what's called post-humanism. Post-humanism means there will be no more humans.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a comic book out, and they made a TV series out of it called Sweet Tooth.
I heard of it. I've never seen it though.
Yeah, and the second season is out now. And in once in season 2, episode 3, I believe, one of the kids that are still human, they say we're going to be the last humans.
Wow, I gotta watch that. Sounds interesting.
Right? And the guy Harari, I forgot his first name. He's a big transhumanist, and he talks with the World Economic Forum. They brought him on board. He says that right now we're seeing the last portion of humanity because they are going to pretty much change the genome of humanity over time to where there will be no humans.
As it is in the days of Noah.
But let's go to the Bible where Jesus said, if he didn't come back, not in these necessary words, this is not verbatim, but the thought is if he didn't come back when he comes back by the end of 7-year tribulation, that there would be no humans left.
I think another verse you're talking about, save the flesh or no man would be saved or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah. So but that verse doesn't necessarily mean he's talking about transhumanism, but I think that's a part of it.
Yeah.
Remember, his wrath is going to be pouring out 7 years nonstop, right? And the mark of the beast doesn't come into the middle of the tribulation, so that's when you start getting even more genetic modifications. Whatever the mark is, whatever that implicates, you still have to bow down and worship the beast. So he's going to offer them something, okay? It could be eternal life. Who knows? Because remember, he copies Jesus Christ. He wants to be God. So he's probably going to offer them eternal life and other things that come with it.
And really quick, isn't there a Bible verse where it says men will want to die, but they won't be able to die? Could that be part of it?
Men's heart will fail them from what's coming upon the earth. And yes, they'll call for the rocks to fall on them, but they won't. Now, okay, so it's fun to speculate, but I want to make sure that when we do, that we're clear on some things. That does not necessarily mean they're non-humans. That could mean if you saw a giant meteorite fall out of the sky right now, your heart would explode out of fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you saw an army of killer robots headed towards you right now, that your heart would explode out of fear.
Oh, yeah, it'd just be nightmare.
Yeah, so I just want to be careful with that, just to make sure that people know there are different ways to think about it. And as God reveals his truth of Bible prophecy over time, people 100 years ago would not talk about AI. They wouldn't talk about transhumanism, and now we're seeing a different angle towards Bible prophecy where, wait, this right here could be, and that right there could be this. Because right now, and we'll probably do a show on this, the arms race right now is drones, artificial intelligence, genetics, and one more thing: super killer robots, super killer robots. Right, so super soldier, killer robot, that sort of thing. That's the new arms race that most people don't know about, right? And we're starting to see it come in the news a little bit here and there.
I saw an article where Russia is trying to mix a gorilla DNA with their soldiers and make them stronger, and some other kind of genetic to make them have no morals, basically, be able to kill without having any morals to it.
Right, right. And if they put a brain chip within them, that'll also be possible, right?
100% possible.
Yeah, and China made a hybrid dog that's full of muscles. I think I showed you that.
I saw that. And they did a cat too, a glow-in-the-dark cat. Remember, they made the cats glow-in-the-dark?
Yeah, they have glow-in-the-dark cats. They have, they spliced a human ear onto a rat.
Oh, I saw that. And just to be clear to the audience, this is all real. This is not a conspiracy. You can look this up. This is 100% real.
Yeah, you can look it up right now.
Yeah, and the rat thing is like, what, 10 years ago? That's a long time ago. The rat ear thing, that was a while ago.
Yeah. And okay, so let's go back to Man of Steel again, right?
Yes, sir.
In there, where were the babies grown?
Little tubes, right? Like the Matrix, kind of?
Little incubators, right?
Yeah.
Right now, today, they have artificial wombs. So they are, in a subtle way, telling you, we won't need women anymore.
Yeah.
So this is not a fiction, but now it's become reality. That tells you that the idea didn't just come from humans. I 1000% believe not all these ideas came from humanity, right? Because a lot of these people are into Satanism and other things where they go and channel spirits. For those that don't know what channeling is, it's where you put yourself in a meditative state, just like yoga, and you allow these spirits to come and channel their voice through you. You're channeling them from one point of destination to another, and we'll get into that with a TV set later on, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, so Superman, there was a philosopher called Nietzsche, and this is the first place I saw this, so I don't know if this is the origins or not, but he was talking about the Übermensch.
Okay.
That's for Superman. Hitler was trying to create the Superman, the Übermensch. Okay,
the perfect race.
And in the parallel universe of the Superman story, you have a Superman in there with a U on his chest. I believe that stands for the Übermensch. He's called another name, but I think it stands for the Übermensch. And that's my opinion on that one right there. So also these same guys, from Hitler to Nietzsche, all had an evolutionary frame of thought where survival of the fittest, the weak, the strong over the weak, and all this stuff. That's an evolutionary thought, right? And so the species that is stronger will take over the other species, and that goes into the X-Men, but we'll get there in a second, right? A lot of these things, these creatures aren't human, okay? And so with that evolutionary mind frame, the same evolutionary mind frame tells you that you're an animal. So if you're being told that you're an animal all the time, guess what you're going to act like?
Like an animal.
Right? Yeah. Act like we wonder why people act the way they act. They've been told for generations that they're animals, right? And that's not the only, thing in there why people act the way they act. The bottom line is sin. However, there is something called programming, and you could program a society to act a certain way. And that's proven scientifically, it's proven in the occult, it's proven through war, it's proven through a lot of different economic means, okay?
Yeah. And
so, again, society is being led down a conduit of thought that's not totally natural. And so Superman is, in my eyes, the Antichrist, because what he does is the real Jesus Christ would never do. And Superman cannot be the savior of the world the same way Jesus Christ can. He's an allegory about Jesus. He has a cross figure. The symbolism of the cross when he's in the water, Man of Steel, when he comes out of the ship to save Lois Lane. It's all there. But at the same time, this isn't being generated by God.
Absolutely not. Of course not. Yeah. And
Okay.
really quick, I wanted to point something out in the movie. Why was the Codex a skull? And number two, I believe it's in the Dawn of Justice. You know how you said it's the same actor from the Terminator who built the AI in Terminator. It's the same guy who built the sun, the same actor. I thought that was a very interesting thing. Did you notice that's the same actor playing the same part in two different movies?
I think they did that on purpose for a little, little Easter egg for people, you know? Yeah. So the skull thing, I think they were mining the skull for all that genetic trait.
Okay.
But on a psychological level,
could that have been like maybe the ultimate being?
When you see the skull, it reminds you of stuff in Darwinism, things called a Piltdown man and all these things in that whole story there. That in fact, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't say it's far fetched from the truth, you know.
Yeah.
So what else is in that movie now? Of course, there's always some world-ending.
He goes to church. Remember, he goes to the Catholic Church. Superman.
Yes, because they had the picture of Jesus right behind him.
Yeah. I noticed all that. Yeah.
Symbolism thing, and Zod is not that far from God.
Yeah.
Anytime you see this world-ending super evil being, it's usually an allegory for God. I don't know if the person that created Zod meant that, but in these movies, you see it a lot. Transformers, Optimus Prime. Oh, okay. Let me go before I even go there. There's a thing we mentioned Gnosticism. Gnosticism is a religious idea that turns everything you believe in on its head. So Jesus would be Satan and God would be Satan and a fake Jesus would be the hero, you know?
Yeah.
And so they make God evil and Satan good.
It's a very common theme now in all these movies.
Right. So they use this Gnostic idea in movies like the Transformers, not the original Transformers, at least not it was originally come from Japan, and I'm not sure what the person that made it there, but the Americans bought it. And so by the time you get to the movies now, Optimus Prime is really Satan and Megatron is really God. Wow. But in what do you call it? The Kabbalah, Metatron is God. So
there's also some Tron name in the Book of Enoch that I read, the second book, I think. Some Tron character too in there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't. You know, my thoughts on.
Yeah. I already know. I'm just saying that word is in a lot of old books.
Yeah. Well, for the audience to understand, the first book of Enoch that's a general book. It's not scripture, but it's a general book that you can read to get some historical insights. But Enoch 2 and 3 were written hundreds of years later, and they contain a lot of elements that I don't want you to go search up. And let's just say there's a lot of people in the esoteric occult community that mine Enoch 2 and 3 for some hidden knowledge. Let's just put it that way.
Just stay away from those two.
So, all right. So we can go to the Flash. The Flash is Mercury, the messenger of the gods, right?
Yeah.
And he's also called Hermes, right? And Flash, Hermes and Mercury, they ran very fast, and they're like, again, a messenger. An angel is a messenger, so he's sort of like an angel, but he's from the gods, right? The false gods, of course. And so he has something called a speed force, right? I'll break down the force in a second, but for the sake of argument about Flash, the Flash has the speed force. Within the speed force are gods, the gods that granted him the power to be the Flash. They endowed him with demonic energy, and I'm saying it that way for a reason, because I'm going to break it down a little bit. They endowed him with a human with demonic energy so that he could run through space and time and defy the laws put in place. Okay? And, that's a simple definition of the Flash.
Yeah, absolutely. And it even shows in the movie, every time he breaks the laws of God, he ruins the whole timeline. It's even showing you're not supposed to even do that.
Right. And then you have a concept of the multiverse, which you could find in Hinduism, and other trains of thought. You can find it in what do you call it? Physics, astrophysics. I think it's astrophysics. You could find the concept of a multiverse as well. But these thoughts are coming from human brains, finite brains. And there are different dimensions now. Don't get me wrong. There are different dimensions. Some say up to 13, some say up to 12. Theory, right? And so God is everywhere. The real God of the Bible, is everywhere, but he's not in everything. Okay, that distinction has to be clear, because in the occult, in the whole idea of worship, Mother Earth worship, Gaia worship, Earth worship, they tell you that God is in everything. Another perversion. God is everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's omniscient. He can see everything. He's all powerful. He is the only eternal being. Okay, and so within that, the demons that gave these people knowledge twisted that to say that God is in everything. So God is in a cat and a dog and a plant and a statue and all this stuff. It's all garbage.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I like how you're straightforward, man. That's why I love you.
so I mean, it just has to be said bluntly sometimes.
It does, man. It does.
Right. So God, who he is not. He's in our dimension and in his dimension, in heaven. He's in the future. He's in the past. He's in the present. He is everywhere, and there's no other being like that. No matter how much people try to tell you that, there's no other being like that, because he's eternal. He is the creator. And to even think how he came about, your brain will explode, because you can't figure it out. Because he's been forever, past, present, future. He's just been there. He just exists.
That used to scare me as a kid. When I was a kid and I first had that concept, when my dad told me, you're going to go to heaven, you're going to live forever. And as a kid, I just start thinking, forever? What am I going to do forever? Like, you start to get scared. Like, I think I just want to die. You know what I mean?
And that's because of our finite brain.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Our linear brains can only understand time, dimensions, the way we live it, the way we experience it now. We can't. We think of, we're going to be playing harps in heaven. They never said that.
Sitting on clouds.
And we are taskmasters, right? So we find things to do. I mean, the amount of things that I could do in one day, from drawing to doing computers to playing video games to watching them. We do tasks to fulfill our existence. And not all the tasks are good, but we do tasks regardless. That's why some people, when they don't have a job, they kill themselves, because they feel like they have no purpose. So we have purpose. We just have to keep moving as we live this life. So anyway, so we covered the Flash. Now let's go into one subject I just know you're ready to cover.
Oh man, I love all the subjects on superheroes. Give me
and this
one.
This is about Alistair Crowley.
Oh, here we go. This man's always very interesting in the worst way.
So, all right, I'm reading from the book called Our Gods Wear Spandex, okay, by Christopher Knowles. This is not the only book I have on superheroes, but it's a good one. And this is on page 59. Sorry, give me a second here. 2 seconds, because I got to read.
Go ahead.
Read. All right, so Alistair Crowley was part of what's called the OTO. It still exists today, okay? And today it's like a fraternity for stars and athletes and stuff like that. And he was recruited by a guy named Theodore Reuss, Reuss, if that's how you pronounce it. Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO, okay? And so, as we read further, it goes, in the end, Crowley's aberrant behavior and notoriety brought him down, addicted to heroin and booze, perpetually broke, and unkindness of all, sexually impotent. He spent his last days in a boarding house where he died in 1947, right?
Yeah.
And so, as you read further, it says Crowley claimed to have contacted the original superhero, Horus.
The Egyptian god?
Egyptian god, yes. Which is also the sun god. And that Superman, he gets his power from the what?
From the sun.
And he is Horus.
Okay.
That's why he's an Antichrist too. Okay?
Connecting the dots. I like it.
Yeah. So sometimes you have to don't look at just the stuff that's face value. It's a symbolism as well, right? He cannot get this power he didn't get it from his Kryptonian sun, which is red, right? He got it from the yellow sun, our sun, and he drink. What did one person say in the Man of Steel movie? His cells will drink the sun's radiation.
Drink the sun's radiation, and he'll become, unstoppable.
Yeah. So in the occult, science and magic are one of the same.
Yes.
So he told you in a scientific form, an esoteric thinking. Okay. And so now it says, the Horus, while he and his wife Rose were living in Cairo in 1904, reportedly Rose suddenly went into a trance and began uttering cryptic non sequiturs like, "It's about the child, and they are waiting for you." Crowley questioned her about this child and concluded she spoke of Horus, claiming possession by a spirit named Iowas.
Oh,
Okay?
Yes.
Crowley wrote the Liberal, or the Book of the Law, in which he prophesies that the age of Osiris, the age of kings and churches, is passing, and that the age of Horus will be born in fire and blood. In it, a new race of self-willed supermen will emerge to purge the world of the weak and weak-minded. Sound like something I said a minute ago, right?
Yes, it does. That's very creepy.
Compassion is the voice of kings. Stamp down the wretched and the weak, Crowley wrote. This is the law of the strong. This is our law and the joy of the world. Right?
Yeah.
So what he's saying here is that the church, the time of Christianity is fleeing. It's going. And let's see here. The age of Horus will be born in fire and blood. That when you see terms like fire and blood and bone, these type, it's always going back to some esoteric type of thinking, right? But pretty much people got to die.
Yeah, yeah, that's how the Bible says it too.
And so in it, a new race of self-willed supermen will emerge to purge the world of the weak. All right. So we have the evolutionary thinking there, which didn't just start with evolution, but that's one of the main anchors, if you will. Right. So then it goes down here. Although Crowley's prophecy had more to do with his reading of Nietzschean philosophy, and I mentioned Nietzsche before.
Yes, sir.
Reading of Nietzschean philosophy than with any real understanding of Egyptian theology, it's hard to argue with his insights. 10 years after the Book of the Law appeared, the Western world was plunged into a war whose savagery and misery would only be surpassed 25 years later when Hitler invaded Poland. At the same time, a new breed of self-willed superman would enter the popular culture through the pages of the Action Comics.
Oh, wow.
Right?
When was this book written?
The book?
Yeah. How long? How old is it?
Our God Wears Spandex. I can get you. So Action Comics, Wiz Comics, and Detective Comics, those where the Superman came in, and Crowley lived just long enough to see his Horus usher in the new age, wearing many different masks and fighting under many different names. Unfortunately, Crowley died 12 years before the invention of the spandex.
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
And there's something very important that he mentioned here. He said he lived just long enough to see his Horus usher in the new age. The New Age cult is out there. They've been out there for a long time. They came in through Blavatsky and others that were around the time of Crowley, a little bit before him, whatever it was. And the New Age is the one that invented the idea of the rainbow for the homosexual community. Right?
Yeah.
So the rainbow in that community does not mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean homosexuality. Give me a second here.
Take your time, buddy. Take your time.
Really quick here. I'm going to go into there's another book called The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow by Candace Cumby. Okay, it was a #1 bestseller. I believe she was a lawyer, and then she did some investigations into the New Age because she was hearing a lot about it or whatnot. And she was a Christian as well, and she didn't really know how to take this idea on. So in the one of the first pages of the book, it says the rainbow. Although the rainbow seems to be only a colored arc of light refracted through raindrops, to both Christians and New Agers, it has a deep meaning. According to the Bible, the rainbow is symbolic of God's everlasting covenant that he would never again destroy the earth by a flood. However, the New Age movement uses rainbows to signify their building of the rainbow bridge, Antichrist, between man and Lucifer, who they say is the oversoul. New Agers place small rainbow decals on their automobiles and bookstores as a signal to others in the movement. Some people, of course, use the rainbow as a decoration, unaware of the growing popular acceptance of its occult meaning and the hidden dangers, right? This thing called the Antichrist. Well, let me go first to what she said is the oversoul, which is Lucifer. There was a video game that came out. Can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, but in that video game, you could raise the oversoul, Lucifer. Okay.
Game sounds familiar.
And so the Antichrist, the Rainbow Bridge. Where else do you see a rainbow bridge?
In the movie Thor.
Thor, exactly.
Yeah.
As the rainbow bridge.
It's called something else though. What's it called? The Bifrost.
Bifrost, yes.
Yeah.
And of course the Antichrist. And so with this Bifrost, what you have there symbolically is a guy who represents the all-seeing eye, and he opens the door for you to channel yourself to another realm.
Oh, you're talking about the guy that controls it, right? With the Idris
Hand-
Elba.
Zelle.
Yeah. Handa.
Yeah. So you have the connection here to Thor, and Thor, as you go back and into other cultures, you find out that he is Baal. Thor is Baal. Thor is Satan, even though his father is as well.
I was going to say, what was his father? His father must be the big Satan.
His father is the Cernunnos. You know the CERN, the Hadron Collider.
Oh, CERN. Okay, yeah.
That comes from Cernunnos, the elk god, the god of the forest, and all this stuff. Thor is the god of of thunder. He is the prince, the power of the air. He is the storm god. He is Satan.
Yeah.
So we have what happens is we have multiple versions of him. Like Loki is Satan as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we just have to understand the terms and the folklore, and everybody knew back then that Loki was Satan. Could
that be that whole you know how the occult, they have the white and the light and the dark side of it? Could that be that kind of symbolism? You know, Thor's the light side and then he's the dark side of Loki.
Definitely. And so also we have so we got Odin, we got Thor, we got Loki. Oh, so here's my point. So Satan is not necessarily the name of the being. Satan is a title, the Hasatan. To look that up in Hebrew. Okay? So when we say Satan, most people think automatically the devil.
Yeah.
Right? And nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying it's a title. And so you have, in Revelation, we have God talking about that old serpent, the devil, the dragon, you know?
Yeah.
And so in Revelation, he's a snake. In Genesis, he's a snake. By the time you get to Revelation, he's a dragon.
Yeah.
He's growing in power. He is the temporary king of the world, right? And so what these false gods do is they replicate themselves, the idea of themselves in different cultures to start something repackage it.
Yeah.
To that culture, it's something new. To the other culture across the sea, it's ancient, you know? And so that's what he's been doing for thousands of years. And he also changes his gender
Yeah.
He changes his gender.
Yeah.
Okay. There's one called Inanna. Inanna. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But Inanna is a gender bender that goes into the Baphomet. The symbol of the Baphomet. The goat with the women.
The symbol, the peace symbol. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and all that. It's a gender bender. All right. So you see how we got to kind of like get in and out of different spaces.
Man, there's so much. Man, it's a lot.
And we're what? We're already just an hour in.
Yeah, but it's good information. People need to get the breakdown.
Yeah. So let's go. Let me see what I got here. I got some stuff drawn up for you here. So we got a Rainbow Bridge, or witchcraft is the fastest growing religion. And so
Ouija board's the number one sold board game.
Yeah, and man, I got a book on that. But anyway, so in Freemasonry, they have a false trinity called Jabulon, Jahbulon, right? It's a three-headed crab-looking god. Sometimes it's a cat, a human head, and a frog, and other times the cat is a bull. Okay. All right. So animal symbolism is very important for us to discuss. And I don't know if we're going to get to discuss it tonight, but it's very important. All right. So Jabulon is also Baal. Okay. And he actually rides a beast. Okay. And so from there, you go into the moon god, the sun god. Mithra is in the New Age. That's who they worship there. They won't say they worship that though, but Mithra is their coming Messiah. Okay. And so from there you go into Thor. Again, he's the god of thunder. He wields Mjolnir, which is a possessed weapon.
Yeah.
It has a spirit in it. And that goes back into artificial intelligence, but that's for another show.
I always had a thought that hammer has some kind of tech in it.
Yeah. And remember now, their idea is science and magic is one and the same. So you'll say tech, they'll say something else.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong by saying tech, by the way. When you go into the etymology of technology, it goes into the craft.
Yeah.
All right. So anybody that wants to look up, go to etymology.com and look up technology or tech and see where the word goes back to. What's the root? Okay. So within that, we have Norse gods. This article says Norse gods are back. Pagan religion is once again officially recognized in Iceland. Right.
Yeah.
And so we're in an age of what they call the New Age.
Yeah. The New Age movement. Yeah.
And it's also called, it's got the New Age, you got the Age of Horus.
Age of Aquarius.
Age of Aquarius, right? And it says Iceland to build first temple of Norse gods since Viking Age. So why am I giving you this information? Because a lot of people will tell me, well, Chris, it's just entertainment. Well, a lot of people are prone to worship things. And they worship it with their money, worship it with their time. Now, again, I'm not saying if you go to watch a movie with Thor in it that you're worshiping Thor. I'm not saying that. Okay? What I'm saying is there are these individuals out there. You'll find them at Comic-Con. You'll find them all over the place that this is their life. And they spent one person, I think they went to see Captain Marvel 115 times.
Yes, I heard about the people that saw that in the new Spider-Man movie like hundreds of times.
One of the worst movies.
Yeah, it was.
And we're going to get to Captain Marvel in a second. Just watch. So the definition of worship is pretty much to give over. You have a dedication to something, and sometimes it's fervent. Like with me, I talk about Jesus all day. That's who I worship. I worship Father God. I worship Jesus. I'm going to talk about him all the time. Other people, they want to get you into this and get you into that. Till you talk about Star Wars for 5 hours. They might not think they're worshiping it, but they are. But when it comes to worship, it even gets to the point where you start to bow down in front of these things, right? And that's where it gets really dangerous, And so people are starting to worship Thor again and Odin, and they never really stopped, but now it's becoming public. Okay. And one other article, okay, Iceland is officially worshiping Norse gods again. Okay, so we have those 3 articles, right? And then you want to get into what's called the goddess Diana, right? Diana is also the moon god, symbolic to the Islamic God. If you go to the Kaaba, wherever that's it is in the East, and look up pictures of what's inside the Kaaba.
Kaaba?
Kaaba. They're got the, and look up Kaaba vagina.
Okay.
All right. And inside, because a meteor supposedly came down and hit the earth, and inside there they found this rock, and they put it inside the Kaaba, and some of the Muslims go inside there and rub the vagina.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks like a vagina. This is so weird.
Yeah, and that's because of Diana.
This is on the big box they worship?
Yeah, that's the Kaaba.
Okay.
Yeah, so you also have, she's also called Inanna. The Ephesians worshipped her as Artemis, right? It's a fertility goddess. In certain cultures, she has like 20 breasts on her with animals symbolism on her body. Other times she has wide hips for fertility rubbing her breast. Okay. She's also Ishtar, or what we call Easter. Okay. That's Ishtar. She's also Columbia. Right?
Oh, like the statue in New York?
Yeah, like Columbia Pictures.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice connection.
Right? She's also Soul. Sorry, not Soul, but the doggone it. Lady Liberty.
Yes.
She's Lady Liberty. And other cultures, she's other things. And in Catholicism, she is the Queen of Heaven.
Isn't she a tranny too, though? Or half?
Yeah. Well, it goes right back to the Baphomet.
Yeah.
But she is the Queen of Heaven. Look up in your Bibles if you have one, or look online. Queen of Heaven. The Israelites used to worship this because it was one of the false gods they felt they whored around with. Okay, and so the Queen of Heaven, her name is not Mary. It's the Queen of Heaven. She goes by other names, but in Catholicism they supplant this person for Mary. Okay. You also have what's called the Black Madonna, which is also the Queen of Heaven. It's a black version of Mary, supposedly, with a baby at her side. It's not always black. Sometimes it's white. Doesn't matter. It's the same person. And black people talk about the Black Madonna all the time like it's something holy, but it's a pagan goddess. Okay? And I'm going to go somewhere. Just watch me. All right? So we have the Black Madonna. Anybody can look that up. And you can see many pictures of her, but she's also the Queen of Heaven. Stay on board with me here. She's also the Isis. She's also Columbia. And now let's get to a movie called The Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Remember the girl in there that was dark and witchy poo? She got possessed.
Oh, she was the one with the demonic powers.
Scientist, right? Did she have a moon over her head?
Yeah, she did.
That's the same person.
I never put that together. You see, that's why I like you.
Same person. And she was full of witchcraft. She got possessed again. She got possessed by this spirit, right? This moon god. And this moon god is also Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. What's Wonder Woman's nickname? Or
Wonder
Earth
Woman,
name?
Diana.
Princess Diana.
Princess Diana, yep.
Diana. Okay. Captain. And she has a star in the middle of her forehead, which is the star of Isis. Right?
Wow.
So she's also Isis, right? And then when you go to Captain Marvel, you see a star on her chest, which is the star of Inanna. Captain Marvel is the Queen of Heaven. And the Avengers Endgame, she comes down from heaven and busts open Thanos' ship.
Yeah.
Get on board. That's symbolism, right? And in the Endgame movie, Thanos is an allegory for God raining on his wrath on the planet. And then the unhuman beings, the non-humans, rapture Thanos out of the universe. So they rapture God out of his existence, right?
Yeah.
So you have Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman being the same character. Now, when it comes to Captain Marvel in the DC universe, so Shazam, it's not necessarily the same. So we're going to leave him out of it for now. Okay.
Okay.
So we have this guy went and saw Captain Marvel 116 times, right? This other person watched it 114 times, right? He's one of those fanatics. And so let's go to the movie Hellboy.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
The number 2, he went up against the Blood Queen. She has a crown on her head. She is Inanna. She is Isis. She is the Queen of Heaven. Okay? It's all symbolic, but most people don't know this. I mean, the people that are into witchcraft, they know this stuff. They talk about it all the time online, you know?
Yeah.
And Hellboy, who people see as a hero, is the Antichrist. And this is not hidden. It's in the comics. The person that wrote Hellboy is into some esoteric stuff. Okay? For those that don't know what esoteric means, it just means secret. Secret knowledge. Okay? And I think this book might have covered Hellboy. Let me see for a second here. Let me see.
And the second one was probably the best one too. I think that was a good one. The Hellboy movie. You didn't like the second one? It was called Golden something, wasn't it? Hellboy Gold something.
I forgot the name of it, but I mean, it's stuff that was really, not for me.
Let me see. Yeah, the Golden Army. That's what it's called. Hellboy: The Golden Army.
No. Yeah, that second one. Yeah. But this I'm talking about right now is the remake.
Oh, the remake. I haven't seen that one.
Reboot. Yeah. And so, give me 1 second here. I don't see it. Anyway, it's in there somewhere. At least the creative Hellboy is in there somewhere. Anyway, a lot of these guys are into Satanism. They also call themselves atheists or whatnot. The guy that made the Boys, he's a Satanist.
That show is really raunchy, man. Has to be a Satanist.
That's why, because it's culturally deprogramming and dehumanizing you.
Yeah, that show is disgusting, man.
And even though it's showing superheroes as they would really be, it's still a satanic show, right? And what's his name? The false Superman Captain America?
Homelander.
Homelander is supposed to be allegory for Jesus Christ, but he's so wicked. I mean, how does that make any sense, right?
Yeah.
So
there's also a scene in there where, I don't know if you remember, if you've seen it, but there's a scene where this girl's going to kill herself, and Homelander says, she starts praying, and he says, there's no Jesus, there's no God. He's all, I'm God. Yeah. He's all, I'm going to decide if you die or not. Yeah.
So he's an Antichrist.
Yeah.
So Antichrist means in place of. So he's taken the place of Christ in this woman's life.
Yeah.
And they brought her to. I remember they brought him to a.
Then he kills her.
A so-called Christian concert, and then he, raises up himself like Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's blasphemy.
But going back to this Isis Diana stuff, there's a movie that came out, and they're about to bring out another one called The Hunger Games. Katniss Everdeen is the hunter goddess. She is Diana. So it's all these allegories of these old gods coming back.
Just repackaged on different names, different looks, the same junk repackaged.
Same thing, right? And so we can divert here into the Force. And we're still on comics because there are Star Wars comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, give me a second. Let me pull up my notes here because it's so many. I have to kind of like, sheesh, look at this.
There's also another comic book that uses the Force too. What's it called, man? God,
I'm gonna bring them on for you in a second. Okay.
My man.
All right. So the Force is a magical thing that finds its subject in Star Wars, right? And then they turn it into midichlorians and all this stuff, this scientific stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's a thing that finds you. So what does that tell you? The Force has a spirit, alive. It inanimate objects just don't move and find people, right? So it's a spirit. And so in Buddhism, I think it's Buddhism, the same force is called the Tao.
Yeah.
In Hinduism, is called a Chi or the Ki, right? And in martial arts, it's called all sorts of stuff, but mainly the Chi and the Ki, or the quintessence, where you have to use your five senses, but it's really talking about inhabiting yourself with demons to do the karate or whatever the thing is, right? And so Hinduism was born, and then it went into Buddhism, then it went to
Shaolin monks.
Shintoism, Taoism, and all these things over there in the East, right? But it didn't necessarily originate with Hinduism because this stuff was before. They just gave it another name.
Yeah.
Okay? And so you also have, oh man, there's this term in Scientology I can't remember right now. Going clear or something? Well, let's leave that out. Let's leave that out for a second, all right? So then you have the left-hand path and the right-hand path that you stated earlier, right? And so the left-hand path is, I believe that's the more darker version, and the right-hand path is supposed to be the white magic version, right? And then you have what's called animal magnetism and reverse animal magnetism, okay?
Interesting.
That's in Christian Science. It's not Christian and it's not science, but it is calling on some demons, okay? You have the prana. Most people probably haven't heard of the prana, but that's another one.
I have, yes.
I can't remember if that came out of Hinduism or Buddhism. But anyway, prana, right? You have what's called sigil magic, right? Sigils are these little words and stuff or symbols that you can create to form some sort of thing to communicate or figure out your future or whatever this thing is, whatever the thing is, right? Then you have, now sigils are usually carved on the body or carved in paper. You'll see the creator of Lord of the Rings, not the creator, the person that directed Lord of the Rings, the trilogy.
Tolkien?
He has a sigil on his body.
Okay.
Yeah, those people are into this stuff too. Okay? Wow. You have summoning, which it clearly tells you what it is. So in shamanism and voodoo, and you get to summon a spirit or summon a family member, which is not really a family member. It's really what's called familiar spirit. And this is not just a term that's found in the Bible. It's found in the occult too. It's called a familiar spirit. And that's why God was warning against familiar spirits, right? So his people do not communicate with familiar spirits, okay? And so that's summoning, right? Then you have what's called chaos magic. Now, the reason I'm telling you that all these things mean the same is because in one way you're talking about, I can manifest this thing into my life, whatever the thing is, okay? Money, power, respect, a vacation, a plane, whatever it is, okay? That when you go to chaos magic and you go into the comics, it's all over the place with Doctor Strange and all this stuff. But specifically WandaVision, the reason why WandaVision even exists is through the trauma. Remember the trauma we talked about last episode?
Yes.
Talked about the trauma she went through losing her dead artificial intelligence husband, right?
Yeah.
We got to say it plainly so people understand. What's his name again? The Vision.
Yes, the Vision, yes.
Vision. He was an artificial intelligent robotic being with the brain of, or the pieces of Tony Stark, the Hulk, what was the robot? Ultron, and one other, right? So it would that comprised his makeup, his consciousness, and so he died when the Soul Stone was ripped out of his head by WandaVision because Thanos made it, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, because of that grief, she was able to use chaos magic to create a bubble of a false existence around this town where she mentally controlled everybody there.
Yeah.
Because witchcraft comes with mind control, or mind control comes with witchcraft, I should say. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So for those that didn't see WandaVision, that's what happened in that. And you know, she supposedly had her redemption arc, but it wasn't a redemption arc because in Doctor Strange, she went to go kidnap kids, real kids from another universe, to get back her fake kids that she created out of chaos magic.
Yes, I saw that movie.
All right. So give me a second here. We have chaos magic. Oh, you're gonna like this. All right. So with this whole idea of the magic, the chaos, the force, and all this stuff, I'm gonna read you a quote, and I'll tell you who it's from in a minute. Right? It says here, when the Masons learns that the key to the warrior block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft, or of his tech, right? The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands. This is quoting from Manly P. Hall, 33rd degree Mason, from the book called The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, page 48. Let me read it again so I can explain something. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands. Where do you see a lot of these superheroes emitting their power? Not all, but most.
But from their hands.
Their hands.
Yeah, the shooting fire, energy balls. Even Iron Man, he has a suit, but boom, boom, shooting the energy from his...
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the force. It's the chi. It's the Tao. And dynamo means power.
It's making sense because the Force in Star Wars use the hand,
Yes, exactly. Where the force lightning comes from the hand, right?
Yeah, it's all making sense.
Yeah, and so you have these issues. There's a magician out right now called Dynamo. You could find his story where he tells about where he got his powers from, and he smoked some drugs. I think he went to the forest, and the spirits gave him the ability to do his magic tricks. Okay, and they're not magic tricks like pulling a coin from the back of your ear. It's real stuff. Okay, so the demons inhabit him or around him to help him do his little entertainment for people who are gullible. So here we go. So that's the dynamo. It's a living. Where Shazam? Where does he's endued with some of the powers from the gods, and one, namely Zeus, who is also Wonder Woman's father, right? And what he does in the movie, lightning from the hands, and you have the gauntlet of Zeus on Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, and she catches the power and throws it back. Yep. Man, you're all pointing out that stuff. See, I know about this, but I never connected it that way.
Yeah, I'm telling you, once you see the pattern, you just can't see it.
Well, now I'm kind of see it now. Thanks, Chris.
Right. So another way. Now, this is gonna throw some people off a little bit because it's going into like the medical field. Mm-hmm. Another way that this demonic energy is being introduced to people is through the healthcare system. Complementary medicine or alternative medicine. Some of them call it physics from heaven or the physics of heaven. Another term, which is in like some of the New Age, is called soaking in the spirit. You hear that in some weird Christian sects, soaking in the spirit. That's the force. That's demonic power. That's being possessed, right? Then that also comes into transcendental meditation, where you get to create your own reality, just like chaos magic, right? And these people don't spell magic like you would. They spell it with a K. It's very significant that people know that. Another term that's used is called willpower. If I have enough will, I can overcome this circumstance. But what they're really saying is that I could make my reality better, or overcome this obstacle in my life by willing it. So willpower is that too. Another term for it is called The Secret. The Secret is a book that came out about 20 years ago or so, and it has these concepts in it, and they try to make it a little Christian, but it's not. It took the Bible verse out of context. Okay, so The Secret, what's the secret? Remember I told you about secret knowledge, Gnosticism. Okay, There's something out of there that I need to get the gnosis. I need to get this idea. I need to get this thing that'll make my life better or make me more powerful or make me more rich or whatever it is, right? Then you have energy healing, which is in shamanism. Energy healing, they put their hand over you. Remember we talked about energy, Lucifer?
Yeah.
All right, they put their hand over you and spit out alcohol or whatever. smoking.
Yeah, smoking around them and stuff.
Yeah. What's that called? Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name. Anyway, then we have a thing called visualization. So visualization techniques are you trying to visualize the future or this thing that you want to come into your life. It's the same thing. Another terminology, repackaged. Okay.
This is manifestation crap. Is that where that comes from?
Yeah,
manifest your reality. Well, if that was the case, I want to manifest $1 billion in a suitcase right now. Where is it at?
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it, but I can't touch it.
Right.
Yeah.
So visualization. Now this one I'm not 1,000% sure about, but I'll just put it in just to make your mind think. 48 laws of power. Might be something there, but I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay. The term you could speak it into existence. You find this a lot in some of the charismatic Christian circles where I declare God is going to give me this or take this thing away or whatever it is. And so some of the language they take from the Old Testament, but they're really talking about speaking things into existence, but only God could do that. Yeah. Only he can make something from nothing because he is the ultimate creator. He is the one that can make things like that. And in the Bible, in the Greek, I can't tell you what verse it is right now, but it's like when God created the universe, it was just like, nothing, because he's God. You know, so we are trying to be God because Satan wants to be God. So he's influencing us since the Garden of Eden to have godlike powers. He told them they would be like gods, right? And so we talked about this the other night. Scrying,
yes,
where you take a mirror or water, or these are conduits to the spiritual realm. So you stare at this thing. This is also visualization. You stare at this thing, and so that a spirit can come and talk to you.
Kind of like John Constantine movie.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so you get the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously it's also called magic, demonic power, sorcery, witchcraft, and so much more. And one of the ways for you to do this, it's superheroes. I'm telling you this because of superheroes, because these themes are there, right? Is getting into an altered state of consciousness. Now, how to get into altered state of consciousness in many different ways. You have violence, you have stress, you have alcohol, any type of drug, doesn't matter if it's pharmaceutical or natural in the woods or something, peyote, ayahuasca, DMT, all these things. Dancing, cutting yourself, and more and more and more. Sleep deprivation. You can get into altered states where you start to get into this spiritual realm, and then things can come into you. Yoga is another way to get into altered state of consciousness, because yoga means to yoke with the spirits. You're trying to connect with these Hindu gods and goddesses, which are usually animal spirits.
Yeah.
And
really quick, even the yogi, the Grand Master, whatever his name is, he even spoke a couple years ago saying that Americans are using yoga in a very dangerous way because they don't know what it really is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another shaman or yogi, which means God man, he said that Hinduism is yoga and yoga is Hinduism. You cannot separate them. And for those out there, Pilates is yoga too. The Pilates is the name of the German guy that went to practice yoga and made his own exercise form so it's yoga too.
Yeah.
Okay. You can go look up the guy, go research him and see that's his last name. But the exercise form is called Pilates, but it's yoga.
What is all the positions for, really quick, for the audience and me? Like, are they like kind of sexual positions? Because they look kind of like that, you know.
Some of them are sexual, and some of them are just reflecting the animal pose. Like you have a dog?
Downward dog. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a dog. Yeah.
Okay. You have a cage for him?
Yes.
All right. So when you let the dog out in the morning, doesn't he stretch?
Yeah, he stretches out, hands out, your butt in the air, just like that.
Like one of the yoga poses, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's and going back into martial arts again, you have what's called you have tiger style.
Yes.
Crane style,
dragon style, all that stuff. Yeah.
Frog style, dragon style. So I please be patient with us here, because it sounds like we went off, but we're right. We're still in the realm of superheroes, okay? Because these ideas make up that world, okay? Green Lantern, he does a Masonic oath to get the power from the ring to activate. And so you have the Green Lantern will power, and then you have the Yellow Lanterns, the opposite. Then they made up more later the Red Lanterns and the whatever else. But it's the same force. So you're using this force to create a reality from your will. Like, I'm going to create a green machine gun to shoot down this thing with the superhero, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, damn, you put that together. Yeah, he makes a gun, makes a hammer, whatever he wants with his mind.
Exactly. Let's see, what else can we cover here? Let's see, give me a second here. Okay, all right, astral projection.
Okay.
Astral projection. The best case I'm going to give you right now from memory is Doctor Strange in the last movie came out with, Multiverse of Madness. Both Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch, man, there's so many connections, man.
Yeah, there is.
The Scarlet Witch, Crowley had something called the Scarlet Woman.
Scarlet Woman, yeah.
Doctor Strange is Alistair Crowley. The original creator admits that. In fact, he wasn't like a handsome dude. He was bald-headed and looked like Crowley, and even some people said he looked like Crowley. That's Alistair Crowley. You can go look it up, bro.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow, that's very good. I need to look it up.
And so you have the Scarlet Witch in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Both of them are astral projecting to other universes, right? But here's one of the kickers. Doctor Strange astral projects into a dead corpse of one of his alternate selves from a universe that got killed.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you understand how disgusting that is?
Yeah, I remember that part. He comes back like as a zombie. He looks grotesque. Yeah.
But that also tells you this is real here. When I say it's real, in voodoo, they can call up a spirit into a body so they can do their bidding. And also they can use drugs, put you in an altered state of consciousness, something to come and possess you so they can control you. So it's not far from the reality that it is, right? Zombies aren't necessarily, all gross or whatever. But the point is, a spirit goes into a dead body reanimation, if you will. Okay? And that's what Doctor Strange did. And again, astral projection is you're traveling the spiritual plane. You're traveling the spiritual plane. You saw this in Stranger Things. Okay? 11 is called 11 for a reason. She is one of the special kids that are granted the power to use this demonic force. Okay? So it goes all over the place. So that just hit me.
Yeah.
The Scarlet Woman, I forgot to mention that earlier. Her Crowley and his Scarlet Woman, and he in real life he had many Scarlet Women because he was sleeping around a lot.
Yeah.
And some of them he had real relationships with. And so the Scarlet Woman is the whore of Babylon, right? The woman that rides the beast, and he wanted to be the Antichrist, and so he would need a Scarlet Woman. This goes right back to the Hellboy movie, because that queen, the Blood Queen, wanted Hellboy to be her dude.
Yeah.
And he refused by the end, but make no mistake, this is a story about the Antichrist.
Yeah.
So there you have it, right? Let's see now. Okay, so one of the ways to get into astral projection and all this stuff is contemplative prayer. You hear that a lot in some of the fake Christian circle where you have to study contemplative. You have to get yourself into a state and contemplate with God. Say the word. That's Buddhism, Hinduism, all that stuff. Okay, because if you notice, there's a pattern in a lot of these sideways thinking where you have to meditate. Meditate in these aspects do not mean you're concentrating on something. Sometimes it does, but in another form. It doesn't mean like you read a poem today and I'm going to be thinking about this poem, or you read the word of God today and I'm going to be thinking about that's meditation that God talks about. Meditate on my word. Mm-hmm. Okay? They're talking about either focusing on something really focusing on it heavily. Sorry, my words are escaping me today. And the other version is a visualization, like I said earlier. And then the other form is emptying your mind, calming your heart, soothing yourself, calm it down, calm your breathing, calm, breathe slow until you enter an altered state of consciousness. And that's when the spirits can communicate with you easily. They can always communicate with you, but this is the way you're kind of inviting them. Okay? That's also contemplative prayer. And in a lot, I'm telling you, the more I read, the more I see the same pattern. It's slowing down your breathing and all this stuff, okay? And that way you're able to leave your body if that's what you're looking for, right? And so we have all sorts of different things we could talk about here with superheroes. I can go into Batman in a second, but and you got any questions?
Oh man, I'm just really blown away. That whole thing with the what's it called, Doctor Strange. I never put that together. He's Alistair Crowley, and then the Scarlet Woman. It's right there in her name, but she's wearing scarlet colors, and I just don't pick it up until you tell me. It's very, very interesting. All this stuff that you're telling me right now, I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, like they say, hidden in plain sight.
It's hidden right in front of us, and there's so many movies now. Like I'm thinking about so many movies with the same crap.
Let me tell you, we didn't mention this as Tony Stark as the Antichrist.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. I wanted to get into that.
All right. So anybody out there could look up Avengers, I believe it's 33. Where look up Marvel reveals Tony Stark as the Antichrist or Iron Man as the Antichrist. You'll find what I'm talking about. I'm looking it up real quick so I can be accurate.
I'm looking it up too.
It's all right. So,
I see it right here on Men's Health. Marvel Comics just casually revealed that Iron Man is the Antichrist.
Right. Now to make things clear for people, this hasn't, as far as I know, this hasn't always been the case. This is from the more modern novel Iron Man interpretations, okay? When it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all this stuff. So they did reveal that he's the Antichrist. And this was at the time when Marvel was at his peak. Okay? And it was in Avengers 31, where Stark encountered Mephisto. Mephisto is Marvel's version of the devil, but Mephisto is a name of the devil because the long version is Mephistopheles. Okay? And he's also found in Freemasonry. They summon him. Okay? And so he says he reveals to Stark's father, Howard, and made a pact with him years ago. He promised Mephisto that once he had become the most intelligent human being on earth, he would give him his firstborn son. So we have a blood pact with the devil here. And Stark is obviously his firstborn son. Don't you see a pattern with firstborn sons here?
Yeah, there's always the firstborn, or there has to be the child, what's it called, the child of destiny, or the whatever, the prodigy child. There you go.
Right, but going back, he's a replacement for Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Right. And now, for people that don't know much of the Bible, Jesus Christ isn't just a God that just became a man. He was always there. He's eternal. He is the third part of the Godhead. It's not three gods. It's one God in three. Okay. So, Jesus is 100% man, 100% God, and he became one of us forever. All right. He became one of his own creation forever, but he's still God. He retained his deity. Don't let nobody tell you different. So, okay. So if you look at all the movies, you have to know what to look for. Okay. There's symbolic things throughout the whole series with Tony Stark being the Antichrist. Most people just don't get it until like Infinity War. All right. Now, Infinity War, if you look at the poster, he's spread out in a cross position. All right.
Yes.
And so by Endgame, he sacrifices himself for humanity, but he's battling the allegory for God, which is Thanos or Thanatos, which is in Greek that means death. So he's like Thanos is like the angel of death. Okay. But he is an allegory for God. Every time you see this world breaking alien whatever it is, even Ultron claimed to be God as well, and Vision claimed to be God as well in Avengers Age of Ultron. Both of them claim to be God. Okay, when you hear them say "I am," that's what they mean. All right, and so both of them claim to be God. And Ultron was a world breaking artificial intelligent being. All right. And so was Thanos. And Thanos came to rain down wrath on Earth.
Yeah.
Just what he's going to do. All right. And the Bible also talks about how, God sits in the heaven and laughs. And another part talks about how they're going to turn their weapons on him. The kings of the earth are going to turn their weapon on Jesus Christ when he returns. And what do these non-human entities? When I'm saying Tony Stark, to me, is not a human anymore. He's full of nanotechnology now.
That makes sense because Antichrist is going to use AI, in my opinion, and Tony Stark is the master of AI.
I believe some of that, because, again, 100 years ago, we didn't thought that. But now that we're seeing the stuff rise, we're like, oh, snap,
Yeah.
So, and here's the kicker, and you can look this up. Look it up, my friends. Look it up. What's this guy's name again? Sorry. The guy that played Tony Stark.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. did Crowley rituals to get the part to play Iron Man.
Man, come on. He did it. He's all into this too.
Yes.
Who isn't in Hollywood nowadays?
You can look it up. Now, you're not going to find it just by searching it now.
Yeah.
You have to really do your research, but he said it. He did it. He did rituals. And so he got the part, and there you are. So he is the Antichrist in the Avengers, in place of Jesus, gave his life for humanity. And by the way, those stones, the stones for the gauntlet, the Infinity Stones,
Yeah.
they're not just stones, they're alive. They're entities. And supposedly they were there before time.
Yeah.
And when time began, they broke apart into these shards, right? And that's why when you gather them, you become a godlike being.
Yeah.
Right? The Allspark in Transformers. You remember the first Transformers movie?
Yes, I do.
Remember the way it started?
It started with they're on a big ship, right? Cube ship.
No, it's not a ship, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's called an Allspark.
Yeah.
And
that's the little box.
What was Optimus Prime saying?
Oh, man, I forgot exactly what happened, but I know that little box was very important to them. It was like the energy to all the source of them, or something like that.
It goes into the cult of the cube. Okay, there's a cube cult around this planet, and when you see the Tesseract is a real name of something, but they worship Saturn worship. When you look at Saturn, you see a hexagon shape up there, and it's a cube. Okay, so there's a cult that worships a cube, right? I can't say the whole thing now because I haven't finished researching, but it's a Saturn cult, the Saturn cult, Saturnalia. Okay, and so in Avengers, Optimus Prime's opening monologue is, "Before time began, there was the cube."
Oh yeah, that's right. You got the voice down too.
So wait a minute. God is eternal. He's beyond time. Before time began, there was God. So Optimus Prime is literally saying that the cube is God, is a God.
Yeah.
There is no time without God. So they worship the cube.
Yeah.
And the cube is the all spark. In Kabbalah, they talk about the spark of divinity.
This all related to that black box with the vagina on it.
Yes, I mean, in certain ways, yeah.
It is what it is. That's what it is, isn't it?
The Kaaba is a cube, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's a cube.
Yeah.
Okay, so Prime is telling you that this is the God of the Transformers. It created them, and actually, let me go back. They came from the cube, but it was the quintessons, the 5 gods of the Transformers that created the Transformers, created Cybertron. So all of this myth is wrapped up in the same esoteric knowledge that we've been talking about this whole time, right? We just happened to get on the cube, And so again, in the Kabbalah, it talks about the spark of divinity. There was a video game that came out a few years ago called Spark, and in that video game, you can create life on the planet.
Oh wow, I never heard of that game.
And technically, in theology, it's a debate, but it's a real thing. They ask the question, when does life begin? When the sperm touches the egg or after? Because when the sperm touches the egg, there is a spark.
Energy, like actual energy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just giving you little nuggets there. But I think it's a very important thing to understand here when it comes to Tony Stark and Marvel and the comic books, and even some of the creators of the comic books, Jack Kirby and these people. Let me touch on one really quick now. I hope people are don't start falling asleep because
no, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Stan Lee part of all this Crowley stuff too, probably.
Yeah, Stan Lee in Doctor Strange in the I think it's the post-credit scenes or one of the scenes where is it Spider-Man? Anyway, one of those movies where he has the book in his hand, talking about one of these Doors to Perception. That's the name of the book, Doors to Perception. That's an occult book. Yeah. Look that book up. It's by one of those Huxley brothers, I think. Or yeah. Anyway, he was holding it. He knows.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, I know this is not by accident.
Yeah.
So many books out there holding that one. Come on.
I want to talk to you about a guy. We talked a little bit about H.G. Wells. No, I didn't mention his name. H.G. Wells was a communist, and he was big into the occult and other stuff. And he wrote the book, The New World Order. He wrote Time Machine. He was very distinguished. And he wrote the book about the New World Order based on Freemason science and this stuff. And some of the ideas that we implement today came from some of his writings because, again, these people are in contact with spirits. They give them information to project into the future to lead humanity to where they want to go. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's H.G. Wells. You have Jules Verne. A lot of these old sci-fi writers. I'm trying to get to one that people might know today. Well, first you have what's his name? Sorry guys, sorry. I'm looking up stuff while I'm over here.
No problem. No problem. All this stuff is just very interesting to me, and not only is it interesting, it's all factual.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, all you have to do is do some digging, and you will find it. Some of it's in the older books that's not in print. Some of them are in the internet. But you got to be careful. Sometimes people are just making stuff up. So Batman he is more related to a demon, and this is on tape. People said this. People that love comic books have said this. Because of the way he frightens people. He's a bat. He's more like a demonic figure. He's also a golem figure. A golem is from Jewish mysticism, where you call up a spirit into a clay figure. Or you know about spirit cooking?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Abramovich, she had a golem right there, and when she was doing the spirit cooking, a little statue.
Yeah.
So it's into these rituals and whatnot, and so Batman is more possessed with the spirit of vengeance.
Yes.
Right, just like the Ghost Rider, the spirit of vengeance, this dark spirit, the Dark Knight.
Yeah, the Dark Knight. Yes, yeah.
And there's a bat in the ancient South American tales.
Mayan culture.
Mayan country, I believe, is called Kamuzat.
Yes, I have that on my Instagram actually.
And somebody in DC actually built a statue of the Batman that looks just like the Batman today, and related it to Kamuzat. So take what you want from that, do your own research, and that's Batman. Batman in one of the other comics became a god, by the way. He got into some special chair, and some things happened to him, and he became a god.
Like
okay?
Superman powers stuff?
It's like, I don't remember the comic that well, but you could find it. Just look up Batman becomes a god.
That's kind of lame, because the reason why I liked Batman is because he was human, and he was beating everybody up.
Right, but again, it's not about what you see at face value. It's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
So he is the spirit of vengeance. Also, he's not a death dealer like the Punisher, but the Punisher is also a spirit of vengeance. And what did God say in the Bible? Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Okay.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest themes in action movies. It's vengeance. I gotta kill the person that killed my brother. Yeah. I gotta do this. Gotta do that.
It's all vengeance.
Always vengeance, and that's not a very good theme to gravitate toward, especially if you're a Christian. So you got Rosicrucianism. You have all this stuff here. I'm trying to find this creator, Alan Moore. If you guys know Alan Moore, he's a magician, well, a witch, a warlock, a dark magician, whatever you want to call him. And he made the V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta has a Gnostic tale in it. The young lady that's freed by the end of the story, that's Eve. It's a story about the Garden of Eden. Sorry.
Yeah.
The story about the Garden of Eden, and those masks people put on in the Truther movement.
In the which one movement?
Truther.
Oh yeah. Those. Yeah.
That's the devil.
Yeah.
That's who freed this young lady, gave her the gnosis in V for Vendetta. And the reason why the mask is white, because in witchcraft, voodoo, all these things, that's representation of death.
Oh yeah, pale face, yeah.
Yeah. So he also made the Watchmen, which is full of occult stuff.
I was about to say that movie is full of occult stuff. I mean, everything. Yeah. What's that guy's name who's a god? The blue guy, he's just like a exact replication of the Antichrist.
Horus. He's like a representation because he does have Egyptian symbology on him.
Which one?
The guy you're talking about.
Dr. Manhattan. There you go.
Oh, Dr. Manhattan. Yeah, he becomes a god, right?
Yeah, he's a god, yeah. And he even goes to Mars and he says, I'm sick of humans. I'm going to hang out on Mars by myself.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a god at all. It sounds like Satan.
Yeah, it is Satan.
Really? What else did he create? The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is a bunch of occult stuff too, vampires and all this stuff.
Yeah. Isn't there like a virus too in that one of those movies where they wipes out the world? Kind of sounds like all the stuff they're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that is a part of the occult mindset. The elites to depopulate, make people more controllable, wipe them out by any means, as long as we have a percentage left to control and keep getting rich off of them.
Did you hear that those Georgia Guidestones that says all that, they got blown up not too long ago?
Yep. I don't.
Who do you think
Yeah.
did that? Do you think they did it to themselves, or someone who was just sick of all their stuff just said, I'm going to break these things?
It really depends on who you ask. A contact of mine said it was the guys that did it.
Yeah.
Other people said they've taken it down so they can rebuild it.
Oh, okay.
It depends on who you believe, but I believe it was people that were sick of it.
Me too.
From the good side. I'll just leave it at that. So you have Alan Moore, and Alan Moore is one of the people. I listened to one of his talks about writing, and he pretty much puts it out there. And he's not the only person, but this first person I saw put it out there. He said that to cast a spell is to write,
Yeah.
because you're spelling, right? And so you can control a population by what you write. Put it in the atmosphere. Write it in. Remember, I was telling you about how they put a lot of truth in jokes?
Yes.
He put stuff in satirical formats, and especially if you're devaluing somebody like Donald Trump, that'll follow them even after they're dead.
Yeah.
And so that was there. Neil Gaiman is another one. He made a lot of stuff. He made, but one I'm trying, American Gods.
Oh yeah, I seen that show a long time ago. I only saw one season. It was gross. I was like, I can't watch the second season.
Right, it's filthy.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison is who I'm trying to get to
Okay.
here.
That's good.
Grant Morrison. He is from Europe, and he's one of the most famous comic book writers out today. And he doesn't hide it either. Okay. So he said he went to the forest again. It's all somebody's forest or woods, right? And he smoked, I don't know if it was peyote, hash, something. And he claims, this is in a live audience, all right, that the spirits came to him and took him up to see, I think, Alpha Centauri or something like that, or Zeta Reticula, one of them, with two suns. And now I don't believe that he actually went there. I think since he,
Yeah, absolutely. He's tripping out.
because the mind is a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I could take some stuff I dreamt of, and they look very real, right? I mean, even where I could move in the dream. So check this out, right? So he said they took him up there, and he had this conversation with them, and they told him, put what we tell you to put in the comics.
Wow.
So you're channeling demons.
We got demons writing our comics.
Putting these stories in the comic books. Not all now. I'm not going to demonize the genre because I'm a comic book writer myself. Okay? But we just have to understand that there's a lot of ungodly teaching in a lot, and his comics. There was one where, and this is in a documentary about him, okay, where he wrote something about this guy that got sick, and in real life he got sick too.
Like,
yeah.
Wow. What do you mean? Like, so
he wrote a story about this
about a person, and that person actually got sick.
And he got sick.
Oh, wow.
Grant Morrison got sick just like the person in the book.
Oh, that's pure demonic activity right there.
Yeah, exactly. Reminds me of certain movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, I think Part 6 or something, whatever it was.
There's like so many parts, yeah.
Yeah, and another one called In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh, there's Tales from the Hood. Remember Tales from the Hood? Mm-hmm. One of the stories, a little boy, he's drawing the demon that's haunting him, and then he crumbles it up, and the demon starts breaking. It's stepdad. Remember that?
It's voodoo. Yeah,
right there, yeah.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's witchcraft, bro.
Yeah.
So we're getting. Oh, we can't stop this without talking about X-Men, dude.
Oh, let's do it. We got to do it. Let's go. The X-Men's happening right now in real life. I just really quick. We were talking about this. There was an article in, I think it was Argentina or Chile, that came out a year ago, and they're trying to pass a law to not discriminate against mutants and genetically enhanced people. What does that mean? What?
It's exactly where we're going. Yeah. Exactly where we're going. Okay. So on a metaphoric stage, we have X-Men that really talks about people that are discriminated against, right? And when it first came out, you couldn't really see. You could see if you knew, but we were kids, what it was trying to get at. But then it came down to where, when the movie started, it was really about a homosexual agenda.
Really?
Okay, and it's admitted.
I didn't catch that. I can't. I'd love for you to get into that. Let's hear it.
It's admitted. Ian McKellen, who played Magneto,
Yeah, he's gay in real life.
Yeah, said that if it wasn't for the fact that it was a homosexual allegory, you probably wouldn't have took the part.
Well, how is Magneto a homosexual allegory?
It's not about Magneto being a homosexual allegory. It's about the X-Men being that.
Oh, and then the guy that plays what's the Professor X? He's also homosexual too in real life.
Oh yeah. Make it clear for people though, not the old Professor X, the young Professor X.
Yeah.
Because we got so many different movies.
Yeah.
They gotta know which one we're talking about, because the guy that played Magneto in those movies, he's not a homosexual.
Yeah, no, he's not.
All right, so Ian McKellen played the old Professor X in the original movies.
He's Gandalf too, right? Yeah, same guy.
He's Gandalf too. And so there's an allegory there for homosexuality, not just homosexuality, but that's a big part of the allegory. And the director, who also got brought up on charges of being a pedophile,
Jesus Christ,
put the agenda in there as well. And now he's not making movies anymore. Why? Because he was put out there so much they couldn't do nothing with him anymore.
It's too late, man. You've done too much. We can't hide it.
Yeah, let me look his name up. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, these people are sick, man. They can't help themselves.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into Bryan Singer. Yes, that's Bryan Singer. Yeah, that's his name. He was in a bunch of controversy a couple of years back, and now you hardly see him anymore. And he keeps recruiting pedophiles for different projects that he was on. Okay, and that's a whole nother story right there. Whole nother story. Point being, there's a homosexual agenda within the X-Men movies, but let's go from that, because that's not the real important part right now. When the first movie starts, it starts with a monologue about evolution. Remember, evolution is one of the anchors for a lot of these stories, okay? And so he's talking about Professor X is talking about evolution and how, the genetic this and the genetic that, and now we're coming out in the world, blah, 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 And one thing we have to understand is the reason why they call X-Men, X is the identity that's missing, right?
Yes.
It's because they have this mutant gene. They have a mutant gene. They're not humans. None of them.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a comic book out there called Earth X, Paradise X, and something else X. It's a movie. It's not a movie. It's a comic book about a artificial intelligence robot that's on the moon, standing there with one of the Watchers, okay, fallen angel.
Yeah.
That's telling him a story about his life and deconstructing him. So his belief in God, family, and all this stuff, he's taking all that away. Then he starts to tell him about how the human race began, right? And so it started with the Celestials, those big giant robots in outer space, which are supposedly gods. They seeded the Earth with a gene, okay? And through evolution, this gene lay dormant in mankind, right? So over time, of course, it warps the biblical narrative. They're going to do that. Yeah. And so over time, this seed germinated in the early man, and then we had wars and all this stuff, and a giant meteor crashed on the planet, blah blah blah, right? And later on, it stopped. And then it germinated again. And then you got Hercules and all the same stuff we're talking about. Yeah. Hercules and all these Thors and then it stopped. And then later on in our modern time, it germinated again. And that's where you started to get the Professor X and the Wolverines and all these weirdos with animal heads and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so by the end of that comic book, Wolverine is a fat house husband.
Wolverine is?
Yeah, Jean Grey is a housewife. The reason being now is because most of the world became mutants.
Yeah.
But it was about the beginning of the show. It talked about the human race becoming post-human. That's what the book was showing you, right? So I'm telling you, these ideas aren't outside the realm of reality.
And it's nothing new.
It's not that we were seeded here by some aliens. That's not true. But they're trying to get us to believe that we could become human. Post-humans, transhumans. We could have mutant powers, and that's what these transhumanists are telling people, that you could change your skin to metal and all sorts of weird stuff, and you'll be able to have all the knowledge in the world through brain chips and this, that, and the other. So with X-Men movies, they had their little themes going in there, but ultimately it's about the division between humans and transhumans.
Yes.
Well, once you really get the ideas down, you start to see it very clearly, because Professor X is supposed to be Martin Luther King, and Magneto is supposed to be Malcolm X.
Really?
Yeah, that's why Stan Lee made them. That's who he caricaturized them off of. Okay. But those names mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. It was just that back then that idea, because that's what's going on in the population, in the society. So that now turns into what we see today. And in X-Men number 2, there's a coming out scene where one of the young mutants is brought in front of his family, Wolverine and a couple other people, and Iceman, that's who it was.
Yeah.
He came out as Iceman, but it was really he was coming out as a homosexual.
What?
That's the allegory.
But how though? Because didn't he like the girl Rogue? Or no, he likes somebody, didn't he?
Don't look at what's put in front of your face. Look at the allegory. You have to be able to look beyond that, because this is admitted by Bryan Singer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
My gosh.
Gotta see past that. If it wasn't Iceman, it was the other guy. He did do something with the ice. It might have been the other guy, the guy with the flame. I kept lighting the lighter.
Flame Boy?
What's his name?
I think it's Flame Boy or something like that.
Something like that. He lit fire, whatever.
Yeah.
What his name was. I can't remember.
Pyro something. That's what it was.
Pyro, yeah, it's Pyro. So go look at the scene again.
I'm gonna check
you'll
it out.
see it. You'll see it. I can't remember if it was Iceman or Pyro. I think Pyro was getting upset at it. That the parents were ridiculing him and questioning him and whatnot. And he was getting real hot about it,
No pun intended.
So there it is, right? But ultimately, Wolverine is an eternal in the sense of he can't die unless the adamantium is off his bones or something really drastic. Really,
You gotta decapitate him.
He gets exploded or something, or whatever. You have these godlike mutants like Professor X, who I think he's a level 5 mutant. They have these little charts and whatnot to show you their powers, but they end up Phoenix.
Yeah.
In number 3, they made her look more like a possessed woman. Which is reality, because she is possessed by the Phoenix
Spirit.
force.
Yeah, I remember when she becomes the Phoenix, she's a completely different person. Murderous.
Right, but I said something to kind of trigger you. Phoenix force.
Yeah.
Is what she's possessed by.
The force.
The Phoenix relates back to the devil. It relates back to the infinity symbol that you just learned about in my talk. Yeah. It relates to Satan's death and rebirth, infinity, right? And so in the Phoenix movie, the last one, the one that was so trash, the space force, this alien from the space inhabited her, and all hell breaks loose later on in the other film, because she's demon possessed, demon force, demonic power. That's what's going on there. and she's able to destroy planets and all that. All the fictions that our mind can't really go to because this is all fantasy. We can't think of a planet being killed by some bird, flaming beast, whatever. So it's hidden. The allegory is hidden there inside of these fantastical stories, And in fact, the X-Men symbol, the one with the circle around it.
Yeah,
I heard that is the seal of Babylon, and the artist at the time made it that way. Alistair Crowley, Seal of Babylon. Look it up. Seal of Babylon. What's his name again? This artist. I think it was in the 80s. Boy, I tell you, some of these names, man. Can't remember some of these artists.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Seal of Babylon right now.
And doesn't it look like X-Men logo?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Wow, got to put that picture on the podcast.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember the name of the artist, though. Sorry, guys, I didn't have like a 1,000 notes written down. Some of this stuff is just coming to mind right now.
That's all right, man. I'm pretty sure people learned a lot off of this unless they're studying this stuff all day. I highly doubt it. This is what we're here for.
Yes, sir. It's very important. You got Stanley, you got Jack Kirby. This guy wrote in the 80s, man. 80s and 90s, I believe. Let me see, 90s. Oh, yes, here it is. Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont. That's who remade the X-Men logo. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure about it, but I believe he admitted that that's the Seal of Babylon. Anybody, y'all can go check that out for yourself. But Chris Claremont's one of the most known X-Men writers. And so what you'll see is the themes that aren't necessarily being exposed to people in the sense of the definition of what it is, but they're all there. I mean, from communism to transhumanism to genetics and all this stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we can come back and
we got to come back. I mean, there's just not enough time in the world to talk about all this, but we definitely got to come back. And as you were talking earlier, I would like for us to get into all that transhumanism stuff because I think it all relates to superheroes without even talking about it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, once people get a grip on artificial intelligence, drones, killer robots, genetics, and definitely the idea of a new system, technocracy, under the guise of communism, a lot of things are just going to click for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it all comes together. And when you look at the sci-fi writers and some of the ideas they had, I'll give you one real quick. Remember the movie John Carter?
Yes, when he goes to Mars, right? Yes.
Right. How do you get?
I honestly forgot what happened, but I just remember he's like on the moon and he's like stronger or something.
Okay,
I mean on Mars. Sorry.
Yeah, Mars. So, I'm trying to look up. His name is Edgar Rice Burroughs. He created John Carter of Mars. He created Tarzan and a bunch of other stuff that people stole from.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you see John Carter of Mars from Disney, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it would have excited you if it wasn't taken from if people didn't take from that idea already.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, so John Carter is a Civil War soldier, and he has to hide from his enemies or something like that, and he goes into this tomb, and he touches an amulet that puts his body into a stasis, and his soul, right?
Yeah.
Transferred to Mars in another copy of his body.
Yeah, that's like some occult stuff. Did Alistair Crowley lay down in tombs?
Hey.
See? There you go. It's all right there.
But this guy technically is astral projected
Yeah.
to another planet, into another body that looks like his own, right? You also see this in Star Trek. when your atoms are taken apart and reassembled on another ship or another planet.
Yeah.
These ideas are there, bro.
It's all the same stuff.
Yeah, and it was done through what? Some would say witchcraft. Others would say technology.
But they're one and the same.
Because the amulet was able to transfer, and then these beings were like gods to these people.
Yeah.
And they used technology to move them. Hey.
This stuff is getting so, the Terminator movie is becoming more real in real life every day too, now that I think about it, with all this AI stuff. And then really quick, coincidentally, if you ever watched Terminator 2, when they're driving to Mexico, where they're driving somewhere in that car with the mom and the son and the kid, the Antichrist kid, what's his name? The main guy, John?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Anyways, he's asking, Arnold Schwarzenegger, how'd the war start? And Arnold Schwarzenegger says there was an AI system and it took over America, and the first thing it did was bomb Russia, of all things, because that's where the targets were at, and then Russia nukes us, and then there we are. Kind of sounds kind of familiar what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, and back at that time, Russia was always purposely made the enemy.
Yes.
Because we were still technically coming out of the Cold War and all that stuff, but Russia was always the bad guy in the 80s and 90s, and here we are.
He's a bad guy again.
Yeah, but when we get on to that, I think it's going to blow people's minds. What's actually not coming, but already here.
Yes, sir. We definitely got to do another one on transhumanism. And Chris, thank you very much for coming on. Our last podcast did very, very good. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're here. We're a little over 2 hours. It goes by fast when you're having fun. Just really quick, Chris, I want to say thank you again and God bless you. And before we, close out, I would like for you to let the listeners know where to find you one more time, just in case they missed it in the beginning.
Oh, sure thing. And before I even do that, if you don't mind,
go ahead.
I just want people to know that there's only one Savior, and it's Jesus Christ. He came to die for your sins, and he died and resurrected. He is God, and he's waiting on you to reach out to him. He does exist. God does exist, and you need to be born again. That's the only way you're going to get out of the mess of sin. Okay, we're all sinners, and he came to alleviate us of that problem called sin. And so that's what the 10 Commandments did. It showed us in a mirror how depraved we are. And so with that, I just want to tell you that you need to heed to the gospel and be saved. And so now, again, don'tletthemburn.com. My name is Chris Taylor. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Telegram. You can find me everywhere, really. But the best places to communicate with me is Telegram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Amen. Everything you said is 100% true. Jesus is the one and only, and that's just how it goes. There's no changing that, no matter how hard you try. Again, thank you, Chris, for being on. Hang on for a second when I run this out. You're now listening to The Sabbath at Midnight, episode 23. Chris Taylor. We talked about a lot of things, but the focus was superheroes. I hope you guys learned something. I learned a lot. I didn't have too many questions today because I was a student in this podcast at this time, I felt like. So everybody, God bless you, and we will be back soon.